guys, and welcome to the third episode of Culture and Arts, where today we have Yiannis Georgiou. Is that right? Yes, it is, right? And he's a classical pianist. Hello, Yiannis, and welcome.
Hello,
well,
guys.
I should say, we came to you, so it's us welcome. I want to dive straight in, and I'm just going to ask, when did you start playing the piano? At what age? And
6 years old.
6 years
Started
old.
having my first lessons, yeah.
Do you come from a musical family? Is that the reason?
No, they're not musicians, but my father listened to classical music. He had a good collection, he got good record collection, and that's what got me acquainted with the music.
So when you were 6, you just turned to your father and said, I want a piano?
No, they set me off on piano lessons,
Okay.
which I liked, but also I think the real, the impulse was all this, the music that I was listening to on, from his collection, record collection.
And at what age did you realize that you want to make this your profession?
Quite early on, I think. Quite early on, as I was playing more and more piano, I think I didn't really think of the word profession, but I knew that I would like to become a pianist. Yeah.
And did you study? Did you then move somewhere and study abroad, or?
Yeah, well, I had my early lessons here, and then I moved to the UK, and so I carried on with my education there as well, and my higher education in music I received in London at Trinity College, and then I studied further in Moscow at the Tchaikovsky Conservatoire as well for
that must
5
have been
years.
interesting.
Very interesting. It was a dream, and it came true.
And could you see a difference in Russia than the UK, because Russia is famous for what you do? Could you see the difference?
I think then, when I studied, there was quite a difference. Now I think because of all the professors and the students and things, things have changed. Since Eastern Europe is not closed anymore, a lot of the expertise has traveled everywhere. So the conservatoires are full of these musicians, and the knowledge is spread. And not just from professors, but students as well. There's a lot of traveling.
And also the internet now.
Also the internet, yes.
We have access to a lot.
But then, yes, I did feel a very, very big difference in approach in the so-called school of playing. But even now, having said that, I mean, now that even a lot of the expertise is traveling, to be there, to study there in these, quite sacred spaces where legends have walked and taught and played music is a special thing, very special thing.
Well, we've heard you play a bit, and I know that you're going to play again at the end of the interview. But what were your biggest influences, if you were to name 2-3 names,
Yeah. Oh, that's nice to talk about these things. I've always been in love with Horowitz's playing. Very singing tone and straight to the heart. It always moved me. I mean, I like lots and lots of pianists, but I probably consider Rachmaninoff himself to be the best. I adore his playing. I adore his recordings. Apart from his works, which I also adore. But it's just something so pure. For me, he's almost the ultimate artist.
Now, I'm not a pianist. I mean, I've studied music, but it wasn't classical. But I have a thing for Rachmaninoff too, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because when I used to be in a band with a keyboard player from Romania, he always used to say, people say that he's the hardest one to kind of learn. Is that true?
I don't really know. I don't think so. I think, everything is hard. I mean, a Scarlatti sonata looks very simple, but it's very hard. It's hard to pull off anything, even a children's piece. The rules are the same. The objective is the same. You have to be interesting, you have to move the audience, you have to communicate, and those are the things, you have to achieve them whatever you're playing.
Well, what about this? Classical music is, I think, in my opinion, wrongly placed as something strict.
Yes.
And when you play jazz, you're more free. You have the. But how does one, when we all grow up knowing that classical is like this, you're formal, you're this. How does one develop his own sound when growing up learning is kind of in this strict world. So how do you develop your own?
Great question. It's a great question. I think a lot of people don't develop their own sound. I think the so-called, what I mentioned earlier, the school of playing, which is, you know, we have very strong schools of playing, and the Russian one is one of them. And the disadvantage of that is that the result is that one maybe doesn't have their own sound, but nonetheless, no pianist sounds exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So some artists pull themselves away from that same even further than others and do. How it actually happens, I don't actually know why it happens, but it does happen. Maybe it's a matter of taste, maybe it's what you want to express, maybe it's combination, it's everything, it's what you've lived through. Everything affects who you are and what you're doing. So, but yes, I mean, you can listen to recordings and say, oh, that's so-and-so playing. It's very distinctive. I don't actually know how it's done, but it's done.
But you think it's more difficult for someone to develop their own sound if they're not a classical musician rather than someone who is a classical musician?
Yes, probably because of the training and the so-called training. And, you know, there can be faults in this training, even if it's a very high standard and a very high level training. If it does not allow you to do that, then probably it results in it being difficult to develop your own style and freedom. You're right. I like this question, but we can learn from non-classical musicians as well. We need to be free. Also, we need to develop our own style, and so yes, I agree, because you know, you put a child into a piano school and they have to get through all the grades and then enter college and then study with a professor, then pass the exams. They just, it is a trap. You could be just always following some sort of pattern or mold, and then I suppose you have to, if you want, you know, if you have the germ of wanting to develop your own voice, you will find it. Either throughout the studies, either through your studies or after your studies, you will find it.
No, that was that was a good question actually. You answered it very nicely. What made you come back to Cyprus? I mean, how long did you stay in London?
Yeah, I was in the UK for 23 years, and I was in Moscow for 5, as I mentioned as well. I missed the light. I missed the sun, you know, and I missed the feeling at home as well. I mean, I adapted very well in London. I had a great time and had great friends and enjoyed it to the full, but I just wanted to feel at home. I love the sea, I love the language, I love lots of things which I was missing. And the light is important. It just, you know, psychologically, you know, can make a big difference. So that's why I moved. I would have had a big question mark if I could have stayed in London, and but then I would have wondered always, you know, what it was it like to live over there, not just visit, not just to come regularly.
Great stuff. And do you compose? We haven't mentioned.
No, I don't compose. No.
But if someone were to want to see you perform somewhere, where is the most likely place? You know, do you perform at recitals or Nicosia, Limassol?
Well, I've recently had a recital in Rialto here in Limassol, and I try and keep those regular, and so hopefully within a year or maybe a little bit more, I'll do that again. And I also played in Lefkosia recently, the same program. I've been doing a few other small concerts at Paphos at some music schools, sharing the program with other musicians. So yeah, I'm hoping to be doing more and more.
Well, if the time does come, make sure you let us know and we'll post it on Artistic Cyprus and more people can come.
For sure.
You mentioned the word schools, and this is a question that I wanted to ask, and it's in the back of my head. I read something in the newspaper today, something about trying to remove art and music from high schools.
Yes.
I don't know if this is true or if it's just a rumor or if it's something which is on the papers
Yes.
and it's going to be taught. Now, that's not so much my business, but for us who teach music, who have learned music, who were influenced by maybe our fathers or sisters or whoever we were influenced by, the Rachmaninoffs, now in a small island like this, how do we convince is the wrong word, how do we make young people realize that when we were younger, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have this, and we wanted to go and play the piano, we wanted to buy a drum kit, or we wanted to sit on the guitar. I think it's kind of moving away. So what do we need to do to kind of get the 5-year-old, the 6-year-old, the 10-year-old to say, I want to learn an instrument and I want to learn it, no matter if it's classical music, pop music, you know, it doesn't matter what music, I just want to learn music. What do we need to do, the older generation, to convince the younger generation who don't have that access anymore because of maybe they have other hobbies?
Yeah, well, I think to start with, I think there's a lot of people in Cyprus learning musical instruments. I mean, so many. And so they don't have to do anything. Initially, their parents start them off on that one, unless they express an interest, I suppose, I would like to, which a lot of them do. They see their friends playing the guitar or the piano and they say, oh, I want to play. And then after that, well, whether they carry on or not, it's a combination of how much they want it or how much pressure is applied by somebody.
I know.
How to get more to do it? I don't really know if we need more to get to do it. I think there's loads to do it already. It's just, that's not the issue. It's what do they do with it afterwards, or what were they doing it with it, and what kind of audiences they become, what kind of receptors they become as well to what's going on. How much I think that the issue is really how to open up that world so that it has the effect that we know that it can have. Music, I mean, all the arts, but also, you know, it has an effect, not just a ripple effect. It can be a tsunami effect of. It can be influential. It can change your life, the way you are. The way you are in your personal relationships, the way you live your life, the way you enjoy life. So how do we change that from just having lessons somewhere at a music school to them, you know, even if they don't have to become professional musicians at all, I mean, but they can become lovers of it, and they can have open minds, and they can follow lots of genres, and they can become good members of audiences. I don't know, enthusiasm, I suppose, is the answer to that. I think you have to be enthusiastic and creative to change that. At the moment, there's a little bit of rigidity still, even though I think things are changing. I think, you know, that looking around me, I've got the feel that the younger generation know what they're doing. Actually, they don't know. They don't need to be shown anything.
I think one of the reasons is usually during the times of a recession, the arts soar. And we saw this during Margaret Thatcher. And it doesn't matter what art, but usually, in general, art, it's kind of like people want to rebel against, well, you know something, it's a recession, I don't know, but I want to do something artistic now. I think maybe this is one of the reasons that things might change in the next few years.
Yes, because I think the old story that, you know, you have to become a lawyer, you have to become an accountant, you have to become a dentist, and, you know, you have to become this, a teacher, in order to make a living, and then you will make a good living and things like that. Well, it's collapsed now, because that's no guarantee either. So you might as well do something that you enjoy.
That's a great answer. I didn't think of it like that, but it's right. It's correct. Well, I think I'm going to leave it there. And we're going to go and watch you perform another song, and I think it's going to be a Rachmaninoff song, am I right?
Yeah, Rachmaninoff Prelude, yes.
Okay, which is one of my favorites anyway. And I'm so happy. This was one of my favorite interviews up to now, and make sure you let us know when you're performing next, and I'll make sure that people know that you are performing next, and we'll come and see you again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.